I had them already on my PC, but the questions. Let me know, guys, if it's coming across okay.
Yeah, seems to be perfect.
It's a lot better now.
Yeah, it's better. Yeah. I don't know why, but for some reason I think it's probably because I've got so many things running on there, but it doesn't seem to be too good on there. So I'm just going to load up the questions, and so I've got them there. And one more thing. How's everybody doing? You guys good?
Yeah, good. Yeah, good.
Awesome. So I've got quite a few questions that were sent in. Guys, some of you sent them to my personal email. Please send them to questions@London Trading Institute going forward so that I don't miss them. I've forwarded all the ones that I've seen. So hold on. There we go. Tracker sheet as well. No, wrong thing. Download. Okay, perfect. Awesome. Let me see, where is everybody here? Let me see. I know some of you guys couldn't make it tonight. You're enjoying cryptos. I see some of you guys have really got stuck in.
Loving it.
Very different to FX, right?
Yeah, much faster moving markets.
Yeah, once you catch something, it's woo. Yeah. It's gone. There's no messing about. So yeah, that's what I particularly like as well, is the with all the work that we normally do, once you catch a move, it's like you can easily get a 3-to-1, 4-to-1, 5-to-1, or even 10-to-1.
10-to-1.
Which is awesome. And I know some of you guys have been struggling with the platform. It's pretty normal, guys. I mean, honestly, it took me ages to kind of master it. So I'm going to try and answer all of your questions. And I'll kind of log into Binance as well. I'll have to do. I had it all set up, but I'll re-log in on the laptop. It's fine, so I can show you. So let me just do that right now, and then we'll get started. We can send the verification codes. Okay. All right. So, 2, 1, 0. Okay, cool. Everyone cool for me to start?
Yeah,
what I'll do is I'll mute everybody, and then so that we just have nice, so it's nice and quiet, and then we can, you can just unmute yourselves. I will tick the thing where it allows participants to unmute. So if you need to stop me, just unmute yourself. But I've muted you all now. So I'm going to get started. So let me start with the questions that have been sent in. Any other questions that we've got, we can hopefully do them here anyway. So I will do a screen share so you can see the questions that I'm seeing as well. So let me start with Remy's question. So, and guys, if I get through the questions and I haven't seen your question, just let me know, because if you've sent it to my personal email, it may have been missed. So just bear that in mind. Okay, so the first question I've got here is hope you're well. So the question is, can you go over what to look for to know when a coin is about to make a move, as you've been able to predict a few coins lately? Yeah, so let me do a screen share. So in particular, guys, the thing that when you're looking for a breakout market, for a market to break out, the norm of cryptocurrencies is it will have quite a parabolic move, and then it will kind of stop and just build up energy. Now, what you can do is you can use the squeeze if you want to kind of see that in a sort of factual way. So if you guys remember the Bollinger Squeeze, hold on, let me let's bring up some. So we can bring in, this one might be one. So essentially what happens is the longer the market is in a squeeze, the more likely that any move might be explosive. So actually BNB might be a good one. I mean, I haven't seen it. I kind of do it by the eye. Like, so when I look at the, let's go to the daily chart, or the hourly chart is fine. So this is an example of one that might be one that could be an explosive move higher. Why? Because you can kind of see the market's gone up, and then really for how long? Since the 9th of March, we've basically been building up this energy. And the longer this is building up energy, the more likely the move is going to be much, much bigger. Let me show you that indicator that I'm referring to. So if you want to do it with the indicator, this one is a good one. So when you can see like the red dots, so the longer you have red dots, the more likely it is that when it breaks, it's going to be a much bigger move. So over here, here's an example where, you know, you had quite a few red dots, and then when it eventually broke, it was quite an explosive move. So you know, so that's something to kind of look out for if you want to do it with facts. But generally speaking, if you see something just really building up energy and it's in an uptrend, eventually it's going to have a big move up. So I don't know, Remy, if that kind of answers your question, but there's nothing really more to it than that. The only other thing, if you want to catch it just before it goes, is volume. So, you know, you can kind of do it on a 15-minute time frame. You can do it on, I mean, I like to go really low. Like, I mean, it's hard to do it here, but I would personally, if I'm looking to get in on a move, I would probably go down to a 5-minute chart in this period here, because I want to get in just before the move. And sometimes the hourly volume doesn't say the whole picture. So it's a whole hour's bar, but you know, on the big move up, maybe we had a 5-minute bar that was a big move up, and there was big volume on that, but and then the next 5 minutes down was light volume. But then, you know, when you add all of that up, maybe the hourly is not reflecting what's going on. So if I'm really imminently going to get into a trade, then I definitely want to look at the 15-minute or the 5-minute volume. So for example, let's say we've got this resistance line here, and we want to buy this on a breakout. So we want to buy it here. Yes, you can just look at the hourly volume and that's fine. But if you really, really want to time that, I would go to that lower time frame and just look for a little increase. Look, I mean, this is on an hourly chart, but you want to kind of see that a bit earlier on a sort of lower time frame. Let me know if that makes sense, guys. I mean, it's quite hard to kind of show you right now, but if it kind of pops up, let me see if I can. So here, I mean, that's quite good. That's a good example there, right? So let's say we're looking at this breakout, guys, and you've got, you know, you've got this horizontal level there. Well, if you notice, you know, this period here, look at the volume, light, And as soon as you break through, what do we want to see? We want to see that increase in volume there. And if you'd gone to a 5-minute chart, you would have seen that even quicker. But you can see there, that kind of confirms. And then the second one really confirms it. But you don't want to be getting in here. That's too late for me. Like, you have to be really in here. Let me see if that is all good. Yeah, I'm not sure if Remy's here, but hopefully that's answered your question.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. That was good.
Brilliant, no worries. Next one, what have we got here? Okay, Pradeep, so you're fairly new to trading. You're looking at the Fibonacci retracement. Can you illustrate briefly from the trading view chart this evening? And also how to place a limit order. So how do I take profit in a limit order? Do I have to close it manually? I think this I can do your question, Claire, within that as well, about that. I've not tried margin and futures apart from spot yet. I'm finding them quite complicated and a little bit overwhelming. That's cool. Okay, so let me start with the first one. The tools, the Fibonacci, that if you're going to sort of draw the Fibonacci, this is these you just need to copy these basically. So if I mean, this is on the program as well, and this is how you basically use it manually. If you have the Fibonacci on MT4, you will also have access to it on TradingView, the one that we use. So you can do all of it manually, or you can use the indicator. Either one is fine. So we recently updated it. You have to speak to Ben to get you set up on it, but this is basically the update. So I think because one of the questions actually was, how do you select the starting point? Well, basically, this one has kind of fixed that problem, in the sense that before, when we were putting the indicator on, it was not always working because it didn't necessarily find the right starting point. And one of the questions I had was, well, what is the starting point that we need to put on there? Well, basically, when you put the new version on, you don't need to worry about the starting point, except that if you want to kind of get rid of all this mess and noise over there, and let's say you can clearly see that the fibs are starting here, this is where the uptrend is. What you need to do is, it's quite hard to see on this actually, but hold on. You see this little orange, this purple number there. I think, Julie, you might have asked this question. That purple number there is the number of bars. So what we do is we just go to the start of where we want it to start, which is there. So it's 20,704. So let's say I didn't want all of this noise over there. I would edit this one. I go to input and I just change that number to 20,704. Click OK, and hopefully that would work. No, it didn't work. Why did it not work? That's strange. Well, that's what it's supposed to do. Weird. Maybe we can't change it on this one. I'll have to check with the tech guy. But that's what's supposed to happen. But either way, this is now drawn in the correct fibs. So.
Sorry, Andy, how did you get the 20,000? Is it the price or?
No, this is basically the number of bars. So that have been loaded. So you could say basically, so this up to, so on this time frame, we've got, 20,000 odd bars that are loaded up. I could keep going to the left and there's 20,000 of them basically. So I'm basically saying, supposedly saying, start from here. Don't worry about
where's the 20,000?
It might be starting from further back. So if I put in our original fib indicator, unfortunately, TradingView, it's very difficult. We can't really get it like we have it on MT4, unfortunately. So this is just like a workaround. It's the best we could do. But the original fib here, if I put this one on, and let me hide this one, and I'll change the starting point to 20,704. Click OK. Will that work? Yeah, so that's started from there, because I know that that's where we want it to be. That's where we want it to start. That's the start of the uptrend, and then it will just start drawing them. But yeah, that's kind of like the best we can do at the moment with this. But at least at least we've got something. Or you can do it manually. But if you want to actually have the same fibs as we have on MT4, then this is the best we can do. They are accurate. They just don't look as easy on the eye, if that makes sense. But they are accurate.
I still can't see where you get the 20,000 from on the chart. I mean,
yeah, so it's actually like it's on the, you see this little purple light, this little purple number on the actual fib indicator.
Oh, right.
It's
okay.
moving when I move it around.
Yeah.
Can you see that purple number there? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's
okay.
That's what he's done. He's basically added that number in, and then we can kind of say, right, we start on bar number that, and you can only see.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah.
Get it. Thank you.
No worries. I mean, it's better than not having it, basically. So that's just, so if you want to quickly see where we are on the fib sequence, at least there's a way you can do it. And if anything, what you could do is you could just identify where the current AB is, and then if you don't want to have all of this stuff on there, you could just draw it manually, but at least you know where the starting point is. So hopefully that answers that question. Now, I will show you a little bit, because I think this will answer your question as well, Claire, regarding the orders. So let me firstly start. Let's do that. So if we want to put, so there's three options, guys. What most of you are comfortable with spot, okay, and that's fine. Spot basically means that you're just buying it outright. So you're just investing. You've got $1,000. You're buying $1,000 worth. You're not using margin. That's pretty straightforward for most people, I think. Now, Claire, your specific question was about, if I'm not mistaken, was, if I basically go in and place a margin trade. So let's go to margin. I think I've used all my dollar sign. I don't know if I can actually, maybe I have some in the cross. So yeah, I do have a few in the cross. So let's say you want to buy something, right? So let's say like we want to buy Bitcoin, for example, and how do you place a limit order? Well, it's like this. You go to your margin account. You have to have some money here. Now you can use the cross or the isolated. Cross basically is, as I explained in the program, it basically uses the margin across the board, and the isolated is for a specific cryptocurrency. So if we want to trade, if we just want our money to just be for Bitcoin, you go to the isolated one, and this one gives you slightly more leverage. So as you can see there, I don't have any money available for the isolated Bitcoin. Now, if I wanted to trade Bitcoin on a 10x on margin, I'd have to have some US dollars. So I go to transfer collateral. I don't believe there's any dollars in my spot. No, there's nothing there. But if there was some money there, I would then just say, it will just tell you here how much you've got available. And then you just say, okay, transfer it over and then trade it. In this case, I've got some money on the cross. I've got 5,770. So I believe that should be available. I believe. Maybe it might not be, to be honest. Yeah, I think I'm using it all. So I'm basically not able to transfer any to trade this. But the point is like, if I wanted to place a limit order, I would just put in, say, limit order 55,000. I want to buy 0.1 Bitcoin. And then I'd just place a buy order there. We could select borrow and then just place a buy order. Now, if I was to do that, your question is, well, how, I think Claire was, how do I then place a stop? Yeah, this is the thing. When you're doing a margin trade, you can't actually place it at the same time. So what do? You have to go in and put a second order in. So, which is a bit annoying, but let's say, for example, we put this limit order. I don't know if it will be accepted actually, but let me just try it if it does. Okay, it does get accepted. So don't want to get filled on this. You know what, Bitcoin moves so quickly. Let me cancel that. Let's make this like 50,000. Otherwise I'll be buying Bitcoin in a minute. Let's click buy. All right. So you can see my order is there. Now, if you want to add protection to this order, you would then have to put in a stop limit afterwards. So you can't actually do it beforehand, unless you've got enough US dollars, and then you can actually just place a separate order. So you would just go, for example, let's say you want to stop at 52,000. This is not like FX, guys. You'd have to do that. So, and for the same amount. Now, this isn't going to let me do it because I don't have enough US dollars. This is why it's a bit of a silly platform for the margin account. So if you can't do it, the only thing you can do is wait to be filled and then go place your stop limit. So what's the alternative to this? You do a futures account. That's what I would recommend for nearly all of you. It's much easier. And you can do it exactly like you can with FX. This is quite good.
Stop on, isn't it? Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, it's got the a stop on it.
Yes, exactly.
You know, I asked you the question that, didn't I, today? And then you actually, you know, they told me where it was, and it was easy. It was just there.
Yeah, much easier. Now, where this can be useful is when you're dollar cost averaging and when you're scaling in. This is quite useful. You can still do that with the perpetual one, with the futures one if you wanted to. You could still do it over there as well, to be fair. So you could do all of it there. It's just obviously there's less availability of coins. And I just tend to use the futures one for trading, like shorter term. Like I'm normally out within the day or a couple of weeks on that futures account. Whereas this one, I have dollar cost average on some cryptocurrencies. So, and I'll go through that as well, because I think I had a few people asking that question. So then if I just kind of move away from this, Claire, are you with me so far? For, like,
I was thinking,
yeah.
The thing I was doing, I wasn't doing it, but it was on spot, and I was thinking, a limit order, buy it. So it's there, And then I thought that because then if it was filled and you therefore wanted to protect yourself, that I would have to set up a limit, a sell at a lower level.
Yeah.
And then if I didn't want to watch it and take, because I know on some of the videos you've said, no, I just got out of it, or Sab said, and I just decided to take it and I got out. And I thought, well, how did they get out? Did they set up another limit order, a sell at a higher price, or were they watching it and then got out sort of, well, I say manually, but market and just get out like that?
Yeah, so if you're, so you can do either. The safest thing is to actually have an order in. But let's say, like with this one right now, let's say we were filled at 50,000 and you want to be out of it at, say, 48,000 worst case. You would have to go in, you could have to go in and place your stop afterwards, unless you have enough US dollars. Now, the stop is confusing. Let's say you had a position in Bitcoin, the stop and the limit. Do you guys understand what stop and limit is here in this context? Because it's not stop and limit, as in limit is not your target in this, which is why it's a bit confusing. So it's a little bit different to FX. So basically, the easiest way to remember this is that your stop and limit it should be the same. So this is basically your stop. So let's say 48,000 is your stop. That's basically your stop. So that's your stop. So you just got to put the same for both. In FX markets, you just have a stop. In this platform, you have a stop limit. That's what it says there, stop limit. You can't put, it's just a stop. So
in this case, limit is like an entry point, like a price, No,
this is why it's confusing. So basically so if we explain what a sell stop is firstly, just to remind you, if you put a sell stop in the FX markets, what does it mean? It basically means that if we trigger 48,000, what a sell stop does is it tells your broker to go into the market and just get you out immediately at that price, or if there's slippage, but basically go in at market and exit now. So hits 48,000, they hit a market order to exit. So you don't have to be in front of your screens. This is different. What they do is if it hits 48,000, you could say, if it hits 48,000, I want to be out. However, don't get me out at 48,000. If we hit 48,000, I want to be out, but get me out at 48,500. Now, here's the problem with that. What if it never gets back to 48,500? It's like you don't have a stop. So the best we can do is just basically make it the same. So that will really, there shouldn't be any issues there. So it's still a little risk, but very, very minimal risk. So like it hits 48,000 and let's say it drops and it never goes back to 48,000, it may never get you out. There is that small risk. So I don't know if that makes any sense to anybody, but
yeah, so, but this price is always going to be in future. So like now is like 58,000. You always bid this trade higher than the original price. Otherwise,
sorry. This should be on this side. Sorry, this is a sell. So the 48,000 should be over here. So this is like we're selling.
So that because now you go straight to the market from the 58 to 48, then you make 10K whatever in.
Well, no, this is your protection basically. So we're buying at 50,000, so that's where our order is, and then your stop is going to be
at 48.
Yeah, it's going to be 2,000 lower. So if you were going to do this, you'd have to do this basically. That's the best we can do. My preference is that you don't, I mean, my preference is that if you're going to trade, do it on the futures account. So if we go over to the futures account very quickly, it's just like FX. So and most of them you can trade. So you want to trade Bitcoin, you want to trade Ethereum, it's there. Just choose the perpetual one. And then you just put in your limit, the size, make sure this is ticked here, take profit, put in your take profit, put in your stop loss. That's a real stop loss. And that's it. It's simple, really simple, just like any market.
And there's another one.
Easiest way to do it.
There's another one. After you place the trade on the right hand side corner, you can add again a stop loss. So anyway, it's difficult because you haven't put the position now. But after you put the position right on
yeah, you can go in and amend it. Yeah, you can edit your position. You can do it like that as well. Yeah.
Can I ask about closing a futures trade? So if you had a trade on there, we know that it would appear in the bottom window. Well, firstly, would it show the profit and loss as it does in normal FX? And is there the ability to close it somewhere in that bottom window, or do you need to go somewhere else to do that?
No, you can. I mean, it's here normally, so you can see there. But with this one, guys, as well, don't forget you've got that the test account, so you can use that. The testnet account, so you can play around with this one and get used to it basically.
Does the testnet account only apply to the futures?
Yeah, that's all I've been able to find. I don't think there is a test account for their normal platform. But yeah, I think for general trading, use this. If you want a dollar cost average, because there's such massive amounts of space between where your stop is, you can use the margin account if you wanted to. You could still do it on here as well. Yeah, just depends on what you prefer. But I tend to just use the margin account for dollar cost averaging, and I use this for trading. It just keeps it separate in my head.
How are you switching between markets, Andy, on that futures there? Is it on that top left-hand side if you wanted to move from Ethereum to something else?
Yeah, it's just here. So you've got a lot of markets. Like there's plenty here like that you could trade. So you could even just, if there's one specific one that you're looking for, you could look it up. Otherwise, you just sort of scroll down. If I can, I can't seem to do it right now for some reason. But yeah, you scroll down.
Some of those markets you were pointing out on Facebook earlier on, shall we say, some of the lesser known cryptos. Are we not likely to find perpetual futures for some of those? It's really only the main ones that would be here. Is that fair to say?
Yes and no, actually. You'd be surprised some of the ones that we find. I mean, like that Chile coin that Sab was trading was on here, wasn't it? That one was there. I mean, that's okay. Like, so yeah, I mean, it's amazing what you might find on here. It's quite surprising at sometimes. So yeah, so just look it up. And if it's there, it's great. If not, I don't know if like with this one, do they still give you quite a bit of leverage on this. So yeah, I mean, just look it up. I mean, if you can't get it there, then you can find it on the margin and make a decision. But I think for trading, guys, especially for most of you, it just makes sense to do it on here. It's just much easier.
And so putting money into the futures, Andy, obviously you showed us earlier on about taking it from spot into the isolated and the cross. Is it the same process for getting it into the futures?
Yeah, so you just, it's here. Yeah, this one here. So this little thing here, you just transfer money from
perfect. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, let me move on to the next one. I know you've got more questions, Claire. I'll come back to them.
Hey, Andy. Sorry, just quickly, I've got an open trade at the minute on futures, and it's gone. I put in a stop loss, and it's gone through my stop loss, and it hasn't closed the trade. Every time I click close all positions,
It
market.
probably has. Refresh your screen.
Refresh. Because my account's just going down and down.
Yeah, but refresh your screen and check if your position is still there.
Okay.
Because I remember it happened to me once, and I nearly had a heart attack.
Yeah. I'm like, what?
I literally
Stop.
was like, what the hell is going on? I came and looked at my screen and I saw my P&L was really, really in the red. And I was like, why has my stop not been hit? And then I refreshed the page and it had been hit. It's just, you don't refresh the page. Is it okay now? Is it
Yeah,
out?
there you go.
Yeah, there you go. See?
Sorry, where did you press to refresh the page?
Just refresh your whole page on the browser.
Oh, on the browser. Okay, fantastic.
Yeah. I don't know why that happened, but yeah.
Well, I can sleep now.
Yeah, you can sleep now, mate.
You sounded very cool under pressure, I've got to say.
All right. Cheers, Andy.
No worries, mate. Okay. So, Dominicus, your questions. Should our risk management be similar to trading FX? So, should we have 2% daily risk, or should we do 2% per trade? Yeah, it's a good question. It really comes down to what you're comfortable with. Like, I think you start off with lower amounts. I think especially as you're learning the platform and you're learning how to trade cryptos, because you don't really need to risk a lot. I mean, Lauren's a good example of that. He was risking $30 a trade and still making really good money. So you don't have to put a lot of risk on. So yeah, I would do kind of like, I don't know so much. You can have daily risk. Yeah, or you could have a portfolio risk. So like you can say that, for example, you never want to have more than, I don't know, 10% at risk in a month, for example, because you might see opportunities and take them all in one go. If you limit it on a daily basis, you may miss out on some trades because they don't always move higher. There's not always going to be those opportunities. So sometimes if I see them, I will just take the trades. But yeah, I would kind of say like 1% a trade, 10% max risk on the table at a time as a portfolio per month is probably about the right amount. How likely are you to lose? I mean, yeah, I guess, you could even go 0.5%, just depending on your account size, if you can do 0.5%. If you've only got like $500, I don't know if you're going to have enough to do 0.5%. So I don't know if I've answered your question, but I guess it comes down to the individual. But like, yeah, I would say you can do the same as FX, but I can't, being transparent, guys, I kind of took a little bit of a different approach with this to my FX, because I kind of put money in there that was not my bread and butter money. It was just money that I was willing to lose. And that's why I've been able to grow my account quite fast. It's 5x since I started, 2.5 months ago. Now, if I did really, really low risk, I wouldn't have been able to do that. So, I think it comes down to how you treat this and what your risk appetite is, and the money that you're trading, how much you kind of like need it. Like if you're treating this as like this is going to be my income, then you want to stick to strict risk management rules. But I still do my FX, and this is just like something that I'm doing as an extra.
But as a comparison from FX to crypto, the ratio winning basically is much more on the crypto side. I mean, 1 out of 10 you winning 7 times in crypto and then 5 times in FX. You see, how do you see the
well, I mean, there's two, not necessarily. In terms, the win ratio is not the most important actually. It's when you do win, how much you win. Like it's very easy if you're good at managing the trade. It's very easy to take a trade that you can get a 10 to 1 out of. So the way I trade this, which is different to how I invest in this, the way I trade this is like. And I showed examples in the course, if you might recall them, like because I showed examples where it didn't work out as well, because it's important to see that. So I took the trade, it broke my market angle, it had good volume, looked great, but then it didn't go and it closed back within my angle and I got out immediately. And I took a small loss on that trade. But my position size, I had a good position size on that trade because I knew that if it stops doing what it should be doing, I'm going to get out of this trade. It's never going to hit my stop loss. But if it went, that trade would have made me a lot. So it's like that. So it's like, yes, you could say my initial stop might be, I don't know, 2%. But it's very unlikely I'm going to get a 2% stop out on those trades. Very, very unlikely, because I'm going to be out of that way, way quicker. But that's for active day trading. So there's it's hard to compare because there's so many different strategies that we use in FX at different times. It's more a case of like I said, when you catch a move, you tend to get it fast and you tend to make a lot for your risk. What was your next question? When we're deciding to buy a buy price for coins, should we be looking at exact numbers or should we round them up? I would definitely be looking at rounding them up in general. So your example is there, should I buy at 87643? I mean, no one's really looking at that number. I would just use 4, maximum up to 4 decimal points. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, the 5th decimal you don't really need, but yeah. So for example, here, 0.2468 or 69 would be fine, and use the order book. Make sure you're using the order book so you can see where the orders are coming in, and just a lot of the guys are really using that to great effect. And I'd really recommend that to get in at the right prices, because you said you missed out on a couple of trades being like literally by fractions. How should we clearly identify stop loss? Should we look at indicators like the super trend? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if the super trend line, support, resistance, all of it, my favorite is geometric angles, but you could say put it behind the super trend as an initial stop. But for me, it's I'm proactive, like I said. So if it closes back below through the geometric angle, I'm like, well, the buyers no longer have control, so I'm out of that trade. Guys, I'm going to speed up a little bit because I'm realizing that time is flying and I've still got loads to get through. That was same questions.
Thank you.
No worries. Claire's question. So, is there a standard or some guidance for scaling when analyzing charts, e.g., the length of the time period covered by the chart display for weekly, daily, 4 hour?
I only ask that because sometimes I go on and then I think I have a quick look at Facebook and who's analysed something, or if you've analysed it, and then I think, right, I'm not going to look, I'm going to have a go myself, and then my chart just doesn't look the same, so I'm always getting the scaling wrong. So if I try and do geometric angles, I just, you know, I can't seem to be able, I'm not confident in doing it because I just think my scaling's wrong.
So when you say you're scaling, is it specifically how your chart is looking like that? Like, so one of the things you can do here on the right hand corner is go auto. So that would put it like that. And then let's say you want to see more. I don't know if I'm getting the question right, but I'm just, so if I want to zoom, I just zoom out.
Yeah, I can, you know,
And all of that.
yeah, zoom out, and the same with the pricing to the side. But obviously in doing that sometimes, I think I've kind of like lost it. And then I'm thinking, well, I'm doing a daily chart. How many days should I have along the bottom to know that I'm actually looking at the right amount of information as well? But just to then know that I've got that kind of scaling correct.
So is it specifically for geometric angles or in general?
Well, it's both really, but I really lost it trying to do the angles, and I'm thinking, I think I'm, you know, maybe I'm looking at, you know, too many 4-hour slots or too many days, or, you know.
Yeah, I mean, let's say, like, if let's just, since we're on the Binance coin, this is the weekly chart. When we say how much do we want to see, I mean, generally with cryptocurrency, you're going to kind of see all of it because they haven't been around for that long. So you just kind of have a look and see what's been happening. And then, like, say, if we take this to a daily chart, again, like, use this little, yeah, I think you already said that you know how to use that, but like, just so that it looks okay, or use the auto to make sure it's like, I mean, that's just parabolic. But say this, for me, you're not really getting much information here. The only thing we know is it's been a parabolic move up, and that's it. So we've got that information. So now you're like, okay, well, if this market is going to continue to go up, let's go to the 4-hour and hourly chart. So let's go to the hourly chart. How much information do we need? Well, all I need to know is the information for this uptrend. And if I'm trying to work out the angles, really I only need this, what I'm seeing here. And I'm going to try and find an angle here, somewhere here. And then I'm going to go test it and see if it's reacting. So what you can do, what I would normally do, I like to sort of look down here first. So because there's not a lot of information, this has just been parabolic up. So the only points we can look is like this point and this point, really. All of this is like not really much of a pullback. So I would zoom in here and have a little look and see what is a pullback like. And specifically, as I've said a few times, with the angles, I prefer a resistance to become a support. So what I would do is I would test this one first. I would try and find how this little, and it may not be the right one, but I would say like something like that, if it worked. So resistance becoming support, and I'll just have a look and see if it kind of reacts in the future. But like I said, I mean, with this one, there's not too many, but look, you've got that. So if you zoom in, that was good resistance and it broke it. And then we'll just sort of have a look and project it up. Yeah. So, I mean, I can see that this is reacting quite nicely, and then I would just put it on the top plate here as well. And you can see it's reacting quite well, right?
Yeah.
And we've broken it. And that's where we are. But the great thing is now I know this is a good reactive line. So what am I going to do? I'm just going to take this. This is not easy, by the way, but look at that. I mean, it's perfect. So you know with a fair degree of certainty that when we break this angle, if we break this angle, we're going higher. There's a great degree of certainty that if this angle breaks, we're going higher. So what can you do? Well, if you want to trade up an hourly chart, it's absolutely fine. This becomes your buy zone. So if you close above that, do you want to have a confirmation? You can add volume, for example, and you could put this on a 15-minute chart and say, right, if volume increases as it breaks this angle, so close above here, volume increases, I'm buying that. And you can just say, I'll put my stop. Dominica's, this one's for you as well. Like you can put your stop behind this moving average here, the 50. That's probably the safest place. And then if this market came back and crossed below, you'd be like, okay, well, that's a fake out, or it's not ready to go now. I'm going to get out of this trade. I'm not going to let it stop me out. I'll just close it. So that's basically what I'm doing a lot in cryptos, but I'm doing it on, so like this work, I'll get this on a 15-minute time frame. So I've done this work here, but I will go at the time on a 15-minute time frame and a 5-minute time frame. We get the close, increase in volume, I'm in. And then because if you don't take it early, it's gone. I mean, you're like, oh, I'm waiting for the hourly to close above and the volume to increase, and it's here. And you're like, well, now it's 320. I wanted to get it at 290. And now you don't know what to do. Do you see what I mean? So it's like these things don't wait around. That's why I go to the lower time frames.
Thank you.
No worries. Okay. Yeah, so the rest of them I've answered. Julie, you're next. What determines the starting point in fibs? Okay, so we kind of covered that. What is the rationale for placing orders at a higher price at 1.3 when there's a large existing order at the 1 point? So I don't know if you're referring to, is that for dollar cost averaging, Julie? What's the rationale?
What I meant is, for example, I've seen in some of the videos when there is a big order, say at 1.2, you placed an order just above that, say 1.22. I just wondered what the rationale was around just putting your price, I mean, bidding at a higher price than the existing.
No, there must have been kind of like a confusion because I don't really put buy stop orders. So it might have been an alert, or was it a specific video that you saw?
No, I can't quite remember which video that was, but
okay. Generally speaking, you're right. I don't like to place orders as buy stops, but I might have done on an occasion. Maybe I have. Maybe I did. I can't remember. Maybe I did, or maybe I did it as an example. But what I mean,
if you bring up order book, then I'll probably try and explain what I mean.
Okay, yeah, but in general, like you're right. There's no real reason why you would do that in front of a big order. Like maybe you could put it in, like above the big orders, but because once those sell orders have gone, then there's probably no liquidity in the market's going to go higher. If you're not in front of you, so let's say we want to trade Binance coin right now. I don't even know if I'm not going to open bookmap on this. It's going to just literally kill my laptop. Binance coin, you guys can look at your own ones. But let's say we're interested here, guys, right? So let's say we want to buy around 290, for example, and we're not going to be in front of our screens to take a geometric angle break. So let's go and have a look. Is there any orders at 290? No. Oh, yeah. So if you look at the order book, guys, can you see? Have you guys seen the order book? Can you guys have a look? The order book for BNB. I don't think I can. Maybe I can. You guys see that? Or not?
No.
Can't see it
No,
properly,
it's
you
not
know?
very clear.
No, not very clear.
No.
Okay. All right. So basically, what I can see is we've got at 300, 21,658 sell orders, and there's quite a lot below all of that. So 7,584, 1,000. So if you add all of those up, from where we are right now, because you can see from when on the aggregate up to 300 from here, there's about 108,000 sell orders that we need to break through, which is worth, what's 108,000 times 300? That's a lot. Well, it's a little bit less than 300 because the average would be, say, 290. So 108,000 times 290. So, wow, 31 million. Jesus, that's a lot. Just checking that's correct. Yeah, about 31 million before. So, but once we clear 300, there's a big drop. So if we had to do an order, I wouldn't put it at 290. I'd be looking to put it at, say, 305. But would I really want to be getting filled at 305? Not really. But if you don't want to miss this trade and you don't want to get in before, then, you know, that's probably where it confirms that this market's going higher. But this is a good point, actually. This is where you could, but again, it's not very safe, is the only problem. Actually, could you do it on the futures? Just talking to myself at the moment, but you could put a stop limit order. So I don't know. Can we do stop limit? Does anyone know, without me going into it, stop limit orders in the futures? Because that's where it could be useful to have a stop limit order. There is that, yeah?
No, I'm looking at it. It says stop
There is,
limit, yeah.
there is.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you could do, if you wanted to, you could say, let's say you're going to go to sleep, but you don't want to miss it. Ideally, you might say to yourself, well, if we clear all that block of 300, I want to buy this, but I don't want to pay 305. I want to pay maybe 290, for example. So you could put a stop limit order. So you could put a stop at 305 and then a limit at 290. Does that make sense? Let me show you.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, in the futures, yeah. Stop limit. Okay, brilliant. So can we put a stop with this though? Stop price. Yeah, I believe so. Stop market, stop limit. I don't think this. I think this is actually. I'd have to test this on the test account, but I don't think stop price. I don't think it's a normal stop limit. This is why they're so confusing. These stop limit was actually when a specific stop price is reached, specified trigger price to activate the order. Yeah, no, it is supposedly okay. So it is. You just can't put you can't put a stop though, can you? Trigger, reduce. No, I don't think we can put a stop with it. It's the only problem.
Could edit it.
No, you'd have. No, I don't think you can. That's the problem with it. Yeah, so it's one of those where, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't use that, to be honest. If I'm not in front of my screen, I definitely wouldn't use it. But yeah, anyway, it sounded good for a minute, but Yeah, so I've lost my train of thought now. But yeah, no, just going back to what we said, Julie, no, there's no real rationale.
Okay.
When you're using the order book, you ideally don't want to be running into resistance. And then how does Binance compute the cumulative value of a coin? My hold if I'm buying using dollar cost averaging. Yeah, it's exactly what you said, which is like it will just average it out. So the coin price times the quantity, and then if you buy more at a certain price, it will just give you the average quantity and price. But you can, and I kind of want to show you guys. So I know you were struggling with dollar cost averaging. And Haresh was asking also about scaling. And Julie, you've got more questions here as well. Okay, let me have a look at your questions, then I'll show you dollar cost averaging very quickly. I'm sure many of us have this question, especially those who have day, night jobs and want to excel in trading as well. As there is limited time in a day, what are the top things we should consider when we want a quick pick on cryptos to analyze? I find that the top suggestions in the question have sometimes run away, and jumping in may not be a good idea. How do you identify take profit points for cryptos? I rely on fibs at the moment, but I'm not sure that is the best thing to do. The MFI RSI line, is it not too late and you may run the risk of missing out? Okay. So the first thing is identifying cryptos to trade. Yeah, I mean, good questions. The reality is like I will just have my watch list similar like I would in FX, and I'm looking for markets that are moving, markets that are trending well, and ideally I prefer to trade cryptos that I also believe in and trust as a project, so that ones that I'm actually invested in or looking to invest in. Because if I'm buying something, at least I'm also buying it fundamentally as well. So I would just tend to have my watch list, and I know the ones that really move. So like the Binance coin, but again, I mean, looking at Lunar Crush, and I know what you're saying in terms of like a lot of them have moved, but when you look at sort of like cryptocurrencies that are starting to get interest and starting to get volumes, yes, some of them have moved quite a bit. But if you kind of combine the fact that it's got momentum and you go to the lower time frames, you can really catch those moves. But I hear you on the fact that, like, you know, what if you don't have that much time? I would just be doing like a combination of things, like using your Fibonacci, using your trend lines, using your super trend, and using the order book and identifying zones where you can put limit orders in with sensible stops. And again, you could even use the order book for where you put your stops. Where do you target? Depends on your time frame. You can use the fibs. Obviously, you know, when you're starting to make new highs, the fibs are the only thing that you can kind of use to actually find targets. The other thing you can do is just trial your stop. You can just trial your stop behind the super trend if you want, and then look at it. So every time you kind of log in, if the super trend has moved up, just move your stop up. You can also set alerts, Julie, as well. So on the actual indicator, so you don't even have to be logging in. So for example, I don't know if you're aware of this, but let's say, for example, if you wanted to, let's say you bought the Binance coin, you could add an alert up here. So you select condition BNB crossing value or super trend sell, and then it will let you know when there's a sell, and then you can just come out that way. So if you see, for example, that the super trend is working particularly well on a particular cryptocurrency, you could just use that as your exit. So when it turns as a sell, you just get out. Yeah, other than that, you just kind of do all the sort of normal technical things, trend lines, channels, and try and identify zones where the market might get to. I've done particularly well not setting targets and just moving my stops up. So when I look at, for example, BNB, and by the way, that's not necessarily the right thing to do. It's just what I've been doing quite a lot. But when I look at, say, this one, and I think, well, where is this going? I mean, let's say you bought this on a break of a geometric angle and you set a target of 300. That's fine. But you've got to kind of also think, well, where do you think this is going? If this is going up here, you might, I mean, I've caught trades that have ended up being like positions, and I keep moving my stop up and just not being stopped out because they just go parabolic. So yeah, I just kind of like, I prefer to trail my stop with this stuff personally. And when you're saying about the money flow and the RSI line, is that for getting in? What are you referring to that on that?
I think in one of the videos, I think you mentioned that was it divergence? So I can't quite remember. When the RSI is suggesting that it's a buy, and the money flow index is suggesting that money is flowing out, then you come out of the trade. So I was just wondering, should we rely on those? But I was thinking that might be too late sometimes.
As an exit point, you mean?
Yeah, as an exit point.
Yeah, I mean, I probably wouldn't use it as an exit point necessarily, but I think it's a great one for an entry point, especially when you see the combination working well. So when you look back on a particular currency and you're like, okay, well, every time the two are combined in the oversold, it's going up really well and it's a perfect entry. I would prefer to use it like that than an exit. But you could, the exit, that could be your warning. Like if both of them go into the overbought, that could be your kind of like, hey, let me start looking at maybe tightening my stop even further so that I'm not going to give back too many profits. So that's kind of like how I would do it.
That makes sense.
Right, let me see if I've got this spreadsheet. I did have it over there. I'm going to make this quite simple, guys, so that, no, this is not it. I could just bring in a plain Excel sheet, actually, to show you. Hold on, let me see if I've got it. I might have downloaded it. Because everybody's kind of confused with dollar cost averaging, I feel. So, and so apologies, guys. I know we've gone over time, but I just want to make sure that all right, let's try. I think this one might be good. But anyway, if not, I'll just show you. We'll just be another 5-10 minutes max. If you need to drop off, guys, obviously, you'll get the recording.
Not a problem, Andy. No problem.
All right. So nobody likes sleep anyway in this group, so it's great.
Not even sure I know what it is anymore, to be honest.
Nah, exactly. You like sleep, guys. You should leave.
No sleep, no sleep.
Okay, so forget all of this for a minute. I'm just going to try and make this simpler than what I've done. I don't think I've made it too simple. So let's say right now, we have, I don't know, 5 grand. Enable editing. Right. And hopefully my brain's going to work enough to be able to do this now. But let's say we've got 5 grand. And you know, you want to kind of buy, Bitcoin, but you don't want to, you can't time it necessarily. You just want to buy it. So what you do is you say, okay, well, look, I'm going to buy some. I'm going to put some at 60,000, some at 55,000, some at 50, and some at 45,000. Right. So your investment is $5,000. So at do you guys know how to calculate this? How much can we buy at 60,000? If you were, well, actually, we're going to split this, aren't we? So, we're going to split our 5,000 into 4, okay? Because we're basically, you know, we don't know what price is the best price. What on earth was that? Did you guys hear that noise?
No, it's my phone, Andy. Don't worry about it, brother.
Oh, right, Jesus. That's it.
It's got a whistle on it.
You're muted,
Got a
mate.
whistle.
That's it, you're out. Muted. You only get one chance. Right. So what we do, guys, is we are going to buy, we're going to use our $5,000. We're going to buy Bitcoin. And let's just say we're just buying it. What we do is we go, okay, we split our 5,000 into 4, which means 1,250 for each price point. So what we do is we go equals. So we're going to basically use our $1,250 and we can buy 0.028 Bitcoins at $60,000. Then how many can we buy here? We can buy 0.022, and then here, if I've done the maths correct, hopefully, yeah. Somebody correct me if I've done it wrong, but I believe this is correct. And then, so let's say, finally, this one, right? So, assuming that we've put these orders in and all 4 of them get filled, we are basically going to be the proud owners of 0.096 Bitcoins. Okay, that's basically, this is the traditional dollar cost averaging. So in other words, if Bitcoin goes down and goes up and basically covers these 4 price points, we will get filled here. Does that firstly make sense to everybody before I go on to explain anything else?
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry,
Okay.
Andy, can I ask a question on that?
Yeah, before you do, let me ask a question first, if you don't mind, Richard. Just want to make sure that everybody gets it. Otherwise, it will just leave my head. If you do buy that many Bitcoins, when do you lose your money? At what point? Where does Bitcoin need to go to?
0.
Very good. Who said that?
Yeah, just bottom out.
Remy.
Yes.
Excellent. It has to go to 0 for you to lose your money. So what I was basically, okay, great. So Richard, tell me your question.
Yeah, sorry, I think I've worked it out now. So essentially you're buying the same pound value each time you're entering the market, but because the price is going down, you're getting more Bitcoins each time. Is that correct?
Exactly, yeah.
Right.
Exactly, yeah. So it's exactly that. So What's the average price? So the average price we've paid, we've bought at is 52,500 in that example. So let's say, guys, we do the same thing here, right? But this time we're going to do something different. We're going to say, we're going to put a stop at 30,000. So if you're going to put a stop at 30,000 and you're buying at 52,500, when would we lose all of our money if we had a stop at 30,000?
When it hits 30,000.
Exactly. Excellent. Good. So what that basically allows us to do is exactly the same thing, but let's say instead of it going to 0, it goes to 30,000, but we could basically buy more. So like this. So it's the equivalent, if my brain can actually work right now, of instead of it from 60,000, we could say, well, actually, I could just buy enough quantities for as if like for 30,000. So if I've done this wrong, guys, I'll correct it tomorrow because my brain is, I've reached my maximum now. But I believe this is correct. So we would do this.
You only lose.
So we can buy basically that much there, and then on this one 20. Yeah, this one will be 25,000. So this one would be that, because this one would be looking at buying at 55,000 and losing 25,000. And then this one would be 20,000. I'll check the maths tomorrow when my brain's working. But the point is, if anybody, I can do it. Hold on. And this one is 15,000. So if I don't know if I've done the maths right, I would double check it tomorrow, but I think it's right. But the fact is that you could use leverage margin and still deposit the same amount of money, risk the same amount of money. You could buy more, but your 5 grand will be lost at 30,000, not at 0. That's basically what I was trying to teach on the course, which was obviously which people struggle to understand. But basically,
it would be a better way to do it then, Andy, wouldn't it?
Well, yes, you could buy, basically you could buy more with your money with margin and make more. So you'd, instead of buying 0.096, you'd buy 0.2375 if the math is correct, but you definitely get
nearly doubled,
more than doubled. So let's say Bitcoin doesn't go to 30,000 and it goes to 100,000. Let's say there's a $50,000 move. Well, a $50,000 move, if for example,
it'll give us 10K.
Yeah, that one would give you 10K, no, 5K, right?
Yeah, but the plus
5K.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, that one should give you about, and then this one will give you $11,875 versus 4,816. But obviously, there's more chance of you losing all your money, because with the first example, Bitcoin has to go to 0. With the second example, Bitcoin has to go to 30,000. So if you looked at Bitcoin and you thought, there's no way we're going to 30,000, or there's no way we're going to 35,000, wherever you feel like there's no way we're going there, or it's unlikely, you could take that risk, especially if you're only doing small amounts of money. In my opinion, if you wanted to put $1,000 into Bitcoin, there's no point going and buying $1,000 of Bitcoin and trying to make $1,000 where it has to double. You may as well use the margin, in my opinion. That's how I would think anyway. I don't know if you guys agree or not. If you're doing small amounts of money, it just doesn't make sense to invest it in Bitcoin. Like, I don't know, but if you think about it, like if Bitcoin's at 50,000 and you need it to go to 100,000 and it has this great move to 100,000 and you've made $1,000, I mean, that's not going to excite anybody. I don't think.
Andy, do you only have a dollar cost average when the market is coming down to go long, or do you for example, with the big Bitcoin rally that we've had over the last few months or so, I mean, lots of people were adding on the way up, weren't they? Is that something completely different?
No, you can, and that's why I've put 60,000 in there as well. So
yeah, but would you buy at 60, 70 and 80 going up to 100 is what I'm saying? Would you?
Yeah, you could.
On the way up? You
could. I mean, you could add orders across the board, so you will never miss it. Like, you'll get filled. Right. So as long as Bitcoin does go higher, you'll make money.
Mm.
And you can do this sort of thing as well for normal trading as well, guys. But you know, but for this, it's like, because the numbers are so, you know, there's a lot of space to be right. But yeah, it's just, I just wanted to teach you something that will allow you to make more if you want to invest in Bitcoin. Of course, there's a bit more risk, but you know, like if you've only got, you know, 500 or 1,000 to invest, for example, you know, and you haven't got 100 grand to just chuck into the markets, you know, for me, like, if you're going to put it into something like cryptos, either you choose cryptocurrencies that have got a lot of potential, that could 5x, 10x, 100x, like the ones that we've been describing, VeChain and Cardano and some of the others that you guys have been finding on Lunar Crush. And you can have some safer ones like Ethereum. But again, even Ethereum, you can kind of take the same approach that I just showed you there. Because you might say, well, instead of 0, maybe I'll say 500. Do you know what I'm saying? So like, again, your 500 could be your stop out, but if you've only got a couple of grand, it allows you to take a slightly bigger position. And do we think it's going to go back to 500? I can't see that happening before this bull run. I mean, do you guys agree with me?
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
You know, and that's the thing. So you've got to sort of think, what's the likelihood of this ever? Before this bull run ends, is Ethereum going to go back to 500? If you think very unlikely, then you may as well make that your stop rather than 0.
Fair, that's what I'm doing on BNB.
What's that?
That's what I'm doing on BNB. I've picked a stop, say £80 and
okay. Instead of 0, so it allows you to buy a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And it makes a big difference, because when you're talking about numbers like if BNB goes to 600, 700, 800, that difference in position size is going to make a big difference to your bottom line. So, you know, and I honestly don't, I mean, I do believe we'll have this for a little while, but this is not going to be forever. These kind of moves, these are going to be now. So, you know, once this is mainstream, it's mainstream, and like it just becomes like the stock market. Then it's just normal. But like when Amazon and I mean, you'll get like some that move, but this is now everything. I mean, this is that you're getting parabolic moves. So I think right now, personally, my appetite is to be a little bit more risky, and just, but you know, you have to do what you're comfortable with. But you know, if you want to make, let's say, above average returns, then you have to kind of just think outside the box. So the things that I'm telling you now are a little bit outside the box, but it's still, in my opinion, I still think it's low risk personally. Because I'm not saying to you on Bitcoin, put it at 49,000. I'm saying, well, put it at 30,000 instead of 0, or 25,000 instead of 0. All right, guys, anyone else wants to ask before we wrap up and before I fall asleep on the desk? Not that I do sleep. I don't sleep, guys, by the way, so don't worry.
No, all good, all good. Thanks, Andy.
Yeah. All right, guys. Was that helpful to you, everybody?
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. Keep posting in the group, guys.
Quick question, Andy.
Yes. Where's it
when-
coming from, Julie?
Not now, obviously, later on. Would you be able to sort of demonstrate what you've been talking about on, let's say, a Binance account? Exactly how all of that changes what you're going to get.
You mean actually going in and placing the order and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, because I can't actually visualize how this gives you more Bitcoin.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sure. No problem. I will think about how to do that. Yeah, I might do a little video for you then. I'll make a note of that. Yeah, just I mean, basically, you would go. The main difference is that you would go on a margin account instead of a spot account. So you'd borrow the money, because like on Binance, you can go to, for example, on Bitcoin, you could go to the margin account and borrow 10 times more than the money that you've got. So you would just literally go place the order on Binance and say, right, okay, well, I want to buy, you know, for example, whatever we said, at 60,000, I want to buy 0.04, not 0.02. So you put in that case, you'd have to put a stop limit order because we're lower than that price. I can do it though. I can do a little video just to kind of like reaffirm this for you.
Yeah, thank you. That'd be great.
No worries. I'll do that this week.
Okay.
Andy, I got one question before you go.
Yeah.
Okay, I have just bought a new desktop. So all day today, I was actually putting it all onto that. And it's all worked well, except Bookmap. It just will not load up. Any ideas?
Well, that's what I was saying. I mean, it does take up a lot of resources. A lot of people have had problems with it. So I don't really put, I put it on my desktop. What can you do?
Probably need RAM, Tony.
What's that?
What's up, bro? What's that, Seb?
It wasn't me, but I was about to say it might just be adding a bit more memory by, you know, just buying like an external 1 terabyte
of RAM.
Of RAM, yeah.
Can you do that? You just connect it with like a USB or something?
Yeah, you should be able to connect it with USB. You should be able to actually have the whole Bookmap using that memory only. You should be able to allocate it.
For the guys that are a bit more techie, I know there's a thing where you can check how much of your RAM is being used. I can't remember how to do it.
Yes, takes off about 2 to 3 gig of RAM.
Oh yeah.
So you
yeah,
probably
I
need at least
actually checked that already.
Whatever you're using.
Yeah, but I've already done that already.
Are you using your maximum? Are you using the maximum? With, when your Bookmap is on?
Yeah, not at all.
All right. I mean, one thing you could do is tag in the group, I don't know if he's in the other group, you could tag in Manish in the crypto group and just see if he can give you some advice. Our tech guy. Just ask him and tag him in, like the crypto.
Oh, I spoke to him, I think, before. Yeah.
Yeah, you can ask him
I
for
have
some
spoke to him
advice.
before.
Just he'll probably ask you to tell him, what you've got. And I mean, unfortunately, it's a software that takes up a lot of resources. So, there's not much I can do really, unless, you like, even for my laptop, and I've got quite a powerful laptop, I noticed it was sort of slowing it down. So I just stopped using it on here, and I just put it on my desktop, and it's absolutely fine. So
I'll have a look tomorrow. Maybe I'll take it off and
it's
reload
great though.
it again.
I would definitely recommend you find a way to use it. It's so powerful.
100%. Okay, Andy, brilliant. Appreciate
No worries, guys. Awesome, guys. Thanks for being here. Sorry, it's been a lot longer one, but I just wanted to make sure that we answered all the questions, and I'll see you guys in the group.
Lovely.
Nice
Thanks,
to
Andy.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Cheers, Andy. Take care.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Bye.